proposal by Senator Damian Crawford, the opposition spokesman on education, has sparked backlash from the Jamaica Teachers Association, describing it as overcomplicating a simple situation. The JTA president insists the focus should be on how we address the gross underfunding of education in Jamaica, how to increase resources at the early and primary education levels, and on the interventions for students with special needs. But how far-fetched is the proposal? The National Parent Teachers Association believes the proposal is worth further examination, and this evening, Lead Story gauges the views of both associations. The nation rethinks education reform in Jamaica. Lead Story starts now. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We welcome Dr. Mark Smith, President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, and Stuart Jacobs, President of the National Parent Teachers Association. Gentlemen, thanks for giving us some of your time this evening and for joining us here on Lead Story.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us.
Indeed, good. Now, the opposition spokesman has described the education sector as being in crisis, and one of the ways to help fixing it is this proposal of extending school hours. Now, first, I want to start with you, Dr. Smith. How do you react to that statement? I know I saw an article earlier, but I want to hear your reaction here on Lead Story.
Well, let me just categorically state, as I have on several media outlets, indicate that we are categorically against any attempt to mandate the expansion of the working hours for teachers. That is not something that we're open to negotiate. However, as I mentioned in subsequent discussions coming out of what I believe was a clarification by Senator Crawford, in which he indicated that it would be voluntary, I indicated that if it is a case where teachers, the principal, the PTA, and others within the community identify a particular problem at the school level and an intervention is developed, I have no issue if government would come in and provide funding to pay teachers additionally for hours rendered. But that is not a national program. I would never advocate for a national program. I've been very clear on that from the very first discussion we've had on this issue. The reality is, however, there's a nuance across the length and breadth of the island. I fundamentally believe that the Ministry of Education really should operate from a policy perspective, and they should be more focused on structural reform, funding. You know, in my initial discussions that were widely publicized, I indicated quite clearly that the fundamental issue we have, that we often keep on focusing on the wrong issues within education. And so I don't think that,
hold it for me there, Doc. Hold it for me there. Before we go into the issues, I want to go over to Stuart Jacobs to ask his reaction as well.
Good evening again to your listeners. First of all, I want to first stop making the comments that our education is in crisis. It's not in a crisis. It's not in a crisis. It has its nuances. It has its gaps that can be filled or ought to be filled. But I really don't like when it is stated that our education system is in a crisis, because come September, our children are going to go to school, and the PEP results showed an improvement, and I'm sure the CSEC and CAPE results are going to come, and our children are going to be very thankful to their teachers and thankful for the education system that they got to a great degree, and us parents are grateful for it. So let's not ever say that our education is in crisis. The pronouncement, the suggestion by Senator Crawford is one that can be looked at in a wholesome way. It needs further discussion, because our education system ought to go through a renaissance, a reformation to some degree. And it is, education is not something that is stagnant. It is ever evolving. And as we are bombarded with AI now and the different the different pathways that our students can take on to get employed, gainfully employed, locally and globally, then our primary early childhood and secondary education system as it is must be able to adjust itself for the end product at the pipeline, end of the pipeline. And so if to look at adjusting the school day is something that can be looked at, where the JTA comes up with the ideas and look at the policies that exist. If teachers should be given an extra 2 hours or not, then all of that is done. And as President Mark Smith, Dr. Smith said just now, that the PTAs, the JTA, the government, and all the other stakeholders, the churches who own the schools and all the owners of the schools sit down and we get together and see how best we can address this. But it is something that I like the fact that politicians are now thinking about education in this open way, and they're giving their suggestions. It's welcome, but at the same time, let us look at it where the teachers must not be disenfranchised, and the teachers should not feel in any way that they are being burdened. The teachers must feel comfortable to wake up tomorrow morning, on September morning, to go out and to teach our children, knowing that they have the support of all involved, and that they're not being asked to go beyond the grain of what it is that is expected of them.
All right, hold it there for me, Stuart Jacobs. Hold it there for me. We're going for a break, and when we come back, we'll have more when we look at exactly how the JTA and how the National Parent Teachers Association is interacting with this proposal. So stick with us. It's Lead Story.
When you charge your electric vehicle with JPS, it's even more affordable than gas. Our Charge and Go network offers the fastest electric vehicle chargers, so you can power up in as little as 30 minutes. With over 39 charging points island-wide, you'll always find a convenient place to shop, eat, work, or relax while you recharge. The Charge Lab app and Charge and Go RFID card make it easy to pay and track your charge right from your phone. Start charge. Learn more at jps.com/charge and go.
This iconic Jamaican has graced many a stage. From Broadway to TV to film, it's safe to say her star shines very bright. She is
the Honorable Dr. Cheryl Lee Ralph, Order of Jamaica. I love that so much. Yes.
what she said.
I was literally moved to tears, very much like when I got the call that I had been nominated for my first Emmy.
Yeah.
And then it was as if the spirit of my mother was rising up, because my mother always said, my children are to go further than I did. Don't you ever give up on yourself. Because if I'd given up on myself, I wouldn't be here. But here I am, Medea.
Odyssey with Yendi. Brought to you by Grace, Singer, and IslandNet Services.
We're back with you. If you're just joining us, we are extrapolating, I would say, a proposal from the opposition spokesman on education, Senator Damian Crawford. He's saying, you know, let's look at the school times. We have 2:30 now as the end time for schools across Jamaica. Let's look at an extended school time to 4:30. Now, that 4:30, he has a proposal of different things for the days in the week, and we're now talking to the head of the National Parent Teachers Association, Stuart Jacobs, and the head of the JTA, Jamaica Teachers Association, Dr. Mark Smith. I'm going back to you, Dr. Smith. Now, you're having this conversation, or you're starting this conversation, Dr. Smith, about the root causes of education. I was doing some research myself, and I see that Jamaica has gotten support over the years from whether it's UN, whether it's World Bank, a number of spaces internationally, and even local sponsors looking at how do you drive education in a real way. Based on your perspective, what should we be looking at? The proposal aside, what should we be looking at as solving the woes that some would say are in the education sector, noting that this proposal was one of those proposals to solve some of the issues in the education sector?
Well, thank you so much for asking that question, because that goes to the core of what the conversation I want to have and the conversation that JTA has been advancing. And that is this idea that fundamentally we have to focus our resources towards ensuring that every single child progressing from the primary level into high school is able to read, they're able to do mathematics at the appropriate level. So fundamentally, if you think about modern concepts of intelligence, the building blocks are really fundamentally literacy and the numeracy. We are having issues with that, with a significant number of our children not being able to operate at the required level. What we have done for many years is simply put them on a conveyor belt, which starts at primary level, and we take them off at the secondary level, whether or not they have mastered the required skill sets. And this is basically where we're having a critical issue. We have found government policy which talks around the issue but does not tackle it head on. We need to ensure that we spend less money tackling it at the secondary level and more at the primary level. Early child and primary, we need to ensure that our children are literate and numerate going into high school. Once you do that, you reach a latent potential with it. What is needed to achieve that in the primary level is, for instance, looking at interventions, targeted, structured literacy and numeracy coaches. We have some of those. We need to expand that program. We lose a lot of money. Let me tell you, I used to be an education officer. So I can tell you, we spend a lot of money oftentimes pursuing little projects like this one and others, and not focusing our resources, harnessing our collective resources in ensuring we tackle these two fundamental issues. I mean, I don't know how much more to say it, how else to articulate it. It is not rocket science, but what we often find ourselves doing is everybody believes that they have a new solution for the problem. We have to focus with laser-like precision on literacy and numeracy. And that requires ensuring that we help those students who are demonstrating the requirement to have some special support. So we are seeing a higher than normal a number of children being identified as special need, or in some, when we look at some of the data that we're looking before us, you're finding some children that would require special needs support. It means they develop on different trajectories. One of the things we often misconceptualize this notion that human intelligence all moves at the same rate chronologically. Yeah. We know from research that they move at different rates. So we need to understand that a child who may develop some of those skill sets later on, we need to have a way to support them throughout the process. What I think has been advocated.
Hold for me, Dr. Smith. Hold for me, Dr. Smith. Very important break here. When we come back, I'm going to go over to Stuart Jacobs, and we have a conversation about the parents, and then we come back to Dr. Smith on this point of the solutions to the long-standing issues in education. Stick with us. You're still with Lead Story.
Challenges are everywhere and things are constantly changing, but independent living remains the same. Rising above physical challenges, we can help you do it. For years, we have been Jamaica's trusted provider for solutions to improve patient care, safety, and general quality of life. No matter your age or your physical limitation, we are the caring store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Jamaica is paving the way to becoming a republic. Our future, our choice. The time by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs is
6:45.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in
You're here with Lead Story, of course. I'm joined by Stuart Jacobs, the head of the National Parent Teachers Association, and Dr. Mark Smith, the head of the Jamaica Teachers Association. I'm starting with Stuart Jacobs as I go into this segment. There have been concerns, social media, etc., also conversation around this proposal, wherein some defenders of the proposal would say that there are some issues after school. There's a lull period. There's a period where you can be driving between 2 p.m. and about 5 p.m. and, you know, kids are all about the place. Sometimes you can go in half retreats filled because, of course, they're waiting on their buses. But in various areas, there have been issues with children who would have, you know, suffered at the hands of people who don't mean them any well because they are just out and about. And Senator Crawford so skillfully would have said that this is a part of what he is trying to stymie with this proposal. What do you say to that?
Listen, show me a school that doesn't have extra lessons. And I might not have their raw data, but students who do extra lessons are usually the students that do fairly well.
Mr. Jacobs? All right, I'm not hearing Mr. Jacobs. We're going to try and get him back on that, but I'm going... We have him? Okay, he's back. Go ahead, Sir Jacobs.
Yes, the school day has a lot of distractions. The regular school day as it is now has a lot of distractions. And where you can find that extra lessons, a lot of parents are paying quite a bit to have the extra lessons included as a part of the whole package going to school. Now, the loitering by students from point A to point B will not be really stopped if you have the 2 hours extra in school, because they are going to still loiter between point A and point B going home. It's I would want to say it's a part of the growing up process.
So you're saying it's much ado about nothing then, Stuart Jacobs? You're saying it's much ado about nothing?
No, I would not say that. I would not say that what Senator Crawford is saying is much about nothing at all. Because his suggestion, as I said earlier, is one that is warranted discussion. He's not saying anything that is way off, or it is impossible, or it's not workable. I think it's something that can be, we sit down and look at it and flesh it out without the emotions involved, and to do it in such a way where you do not have any politics involved at all. It is to deal with the issue at hand. What is the issue at hand? That our children need to get to understand and to delve more in the rudiments of numeracy and literacy that will take them into better stead when they are doing the external exams, and also how they reason or they articulate as adults going forward. Now, if the extra 2 hours that is being proposed is going to help that, then let it happen. If it's going to disenfranchise or to cause an issue with the policy that exists, where teachers' work day is worked out, then we'll have to be very careful that the teacher's daily activity isn't eroded. Because do remember this, teachers go to school after. A lot of them are doing continuous learning, and they too have a family.
Yes.
They too have a family that they have to go home to.
Right.
So we have to be very careful that we don't burden the student. But again, Senator Crawford is talking about the protection of children, because at times, because of this lapse in time from parents reaching home to parents, students leaving school, a lot of things happen. And there are some very, very quick persons around who are going to use it as an opportunity to prey on our children. So he's looking at the holistic side, and so we are all supposed to be doing it. So I would not say that it is that at all. What has to happen is that these ideas, all the different ideas that have come out in the last couple of months, as far as education is concerned, and the back to school process is concerned, that we try to make good sense out of everything and galvanize the whole effort to let it work. For what?
Before I go over to Dr. Smith, Stuart Jacobs. Yeah, before I go over to Dr. Smith, there has been, you said it's not politicking, or you don't want the politics to be involved in education. And I dare say that the politics has already, based on the election year, seeped into the education sector. On the basis that, you know, we saw what happened with the JTC bill a couple of months ago. We saw the back and forth there, and now we're seeing a back and forth as it relates to the school buses that were procured for the children in rural Jamaica. What do you say about that?
I said it on more than one media platform. Stop it. Both sides, stop it. And I'm going to almost reprimand them. Stop it. Parents of Jamaica are saying, stop it. Let the education of our children be something that is seen as our policy to develop Jamaica, not to gain points, not to gain political votes. It must be seen strictly that the next generation is put in a good, steady keel that will make them competitive and ready for the world to come.
I'm going over to Dr. Smith now. I'm going over to Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, we've been having a conversation, you and I, about this whole concept of the root causes, the issues. Now, the Patterson Report, 2021, we're now 2025. We heard a week ago that there are now 30% at implementation. I mentioned the JTC bill just now when I was talking to Stuart Jacobs, and I'm saying to you, those key things, the reports, the bill, and what impact have they had on the sector, and what next do you see, or what next do you propose as the head of the JTA that Jamaica needs to do to push education at a faster pace to improve for all our children?
Well, the reality is there is no panacea. There is no one thing that we will do that will fix it. It is highly nuanced, it is highly layered and complex. So is the nature of education. And countries that have been able to crack that code, that have been able to leverage the greatest asset the country has, which is human capital, these countries have been able to leapfrog many of these rankings on GDP and other measures. And Jamaica must understand that there is no version of an economically viable, socially sustainable Jamaica that does not have education as a transformative role, as a catalyst. And so one of the critical things we have to look at is the idea of investment in education. We have to have a once in a lifetime, and we've been calling for it through a Go Public Fund Education campaign, that we have a historic funding of education, a once in a generation thrust towards catapulting our education system towards where we know we have the potential to be as a country, using it as an engine to drive economic development. The Patterson Report is a very good document, as a roadmap that tend to indicate the pathway, some of those critical things that we have to address. One of those critical ones, as Mr. Jacobs would have mentioned, is the idea of the politicization of education. And the Patterson Report speaks about getting politics out of it, particularly as we look at the governance structures within schools, our boards, and how they are deeply polarized and entrenched in and married in political, distractions. We need to be able to focus on the whole concept of ensuring we put on boards individuals who can bring the level of strategic support to help to restructure and ensure that each school is able to realize its full potential and permit each of those children to be able to achieve at the level of which they're capable of doing. We have to look at the issue of literacy, which I've been speaking about nonstop. That literacy and numeracy critical as building blocks of modern intelligence. We have to go there. When you look at the Patterson Report, and it indicates that we have 18.3% of our children who are characterized as having early literacy issues. And then we look at around 20.7% of them having numeracy challenges. We find that over time, that becomes more layered, more complex, more entrenched, and it becomes an issue when they take those terminal exams, CSEC examinations, and in other country, we seem shocked when the truth is we have not tackled that.